Hey everyone. So today's video we are going to be doing something pretty exciting. So today what we're going to do is we're going to be experimenting a lot and then using Blender's scripting site, and then we're going to be using code in order to generate a scene. But then instead of the code itself, instead of me generating the code, I'm going to be using an LLM model, which is the voice version of GPT to be specific. I'm going to be using it because to be honest, I don't have any idea with how coding works and like how to program and stuff. Because I wanted to try it, but then never really could. So yeah, for this we're going to be experimenting and generating a scene using GPT's voice version. We're going to be going from basic shapes and basic just concepts and stuff, and then we're going to be jumping to pretty more higher levels of generating code using the GPT voice version. Let's go. What's going to happen? How far we can push AI into generating the scripts for making the scenes. So yeah, let's dive into it real quick. So first things first, let's set up Blender to use Python. If you're not familiar, Blender has an integrated Python API that allows you to control the entire software using scripts. So I mean, if you're wondering what API means, API literally means application programming interface. So what it does is it acts like a communication middleman or something to let you know that to communicate between one function and another in the software. So in order to do that, Blender has something called Python API that takes care of that. And then in order to get started with this, you have to switch from layout to scripting. And I agree, it's pretty intimidating at first whenever you see something like this that keeps on going in your like in the first impression it looks very intimidating. I agree. So what you have to do is this is the scene where whatever you write scripts over here is being generated and then taken care of. And then here are nothing but logs. Whatever you do, everything you see here are the logs and stuff. And then here comes the main area where we'll be working with today. We'll be clicking on new here creates the thing that you need for scripting anything in order to generate an object. And then here is just the basic properties or rendering properties or output properties or texturing properties or world properties. Above this is just the scene collection, the outliner, where you can find whatever your objects that you have input in the scene. Similar to here as well, you can access them over here. So yeah, this is the part where we tend to write the code actually. So instead of me writing the code, I'll be using ChatGPT voice version to be specific in order to generate a code. So yeah, let's get started with that. Also, if you're wondering what Python is doing here, it's basically Blender's way of automating tasks to be specific. If you want to Python is like one of the most simplest languages as far as I know, because it's pretty much like just basic English, whatever you are trying to code right in. So in order to do that, if you're using Python in Blender, it's pretty much easier as far as I know. Because using Python, if you want to script something that's very complex, for example, like you're creating animations or simulations using scripts, Python is a pretty good language because it's very short to code in. As far as I know, it's very short to code in, and then you can easily make corrections as well, and it's easy to read as well. So yeah, that's the only reason we're going to be using Python here today. So yeah, let's get started with this. So yeah, now that we're going to get started with the main scene over here, we're going to be using GPT to generate an entire script for a basic scene actually. So the scene comprises of nothing but a cube, and then you have light on top of a cube, and then there's a plane beneath the cube. Yeah, that's just about it. So we're going to be asking the voice version of GPT over here that I have on my phone. We're going to be asking it to generate as a simple scene, and then we are just going to specify the details of the scene, like how it should be, like and everything in the position. This is actually important because you have to convey the LLM how you actually want the scene to be, so that it will get to know like what the user actually wants. So let's get started with it. Hey GPT, can you generate me a Blender Python scripting code for which in the scene there is a cube above a plane, and then there's a light that's above the cube, which is an area light to be specific. And then can you bump up the brightness of the area light to 100, and then make sure that the cube is actually on the plane, and then there's also a cube that's beside that cube.
Described. Import plugin. Okay, delete all existing objects first.
So, what's happening here? Well, LLMs like GPT are trained on massive amounts of data, which allows them to understand coding patterns and syntax. In this case, it's generating Python code that works with Blender's API, and then the script that's been generated will be inputting that into the Blender scripting folder, and then we're going to be continuing with that.
Set the light's brightness to 100. Okay, now let's run this and make sure the correct coordinates are entered. Wonderful. Let's see how it works. This script will set up the scene exactly as you described. Perfect. Let's see how it works.
Thanks for the code, GPT. I'll ask you if there are any more queries about the code.
You're welcome. Feel free to reach out anytime if you have more questions or need further help with the code. Happy blendering!
So now that we have actually generated the code, like we have asked ChatGPT what we wanted. I'm just gonna update the memory, and then we have the scene over here. We have the entire script over here, so that makes it interesting on itself. So after that, what we're gonna do right now is, in the next part of the video, we're gonna be pasting the script. Hold on one second. Oh, I'm just gonna place my video over here. So yeah, after that I've updated the memory in the website. It shows that I have used the voice feature, and then it shows me the prompt that I've inputted as well. And then there is the entire code that has been generated just using my voice. So we're going to be using this script in the next part of the video, where we're going to be copying the script, and then we're going to be pasting it to the scripting side of the Blender. So here we can see that we have the import BP. I don't know what that means honestly, but then yeah, I'm gonna try to explain as much as possible. So we have the object, we have the mesh, we have the plane location as well, we have the cube's location as well, we have the cube 2 location, which is the x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. It's above the plane, I can see that, and then it's beside the cube, x-axis 1.5 pixels or any other measurement towards the positive side of the initial cube. And then we have the light location, which is 3 pixels or 3 whatever measurement units above the cube. And then we have the area as well, radius 1. Yeah, this sounds like the entire code has been generated just using my voice. Alright, so now that we have switched back to Blender again, we are going to be running the code that GPT has generated to us. So what we're going to do right now is, when we're switching to scripting, we have something that you call this panel over here. So we're going to just press new, and then we're going to be pasting the script that GPT has generated. And then now that we have the script over here, it shows the plane location and the cube's location and the cube 2's location, and then the light location. We also have the light brightness, if I'm right. So yeah, we're just gonna press run script, and yeah, voila, we have the entire scene that has been generated to us from scratch. And then we have a cube, we have a cube beside the cube, and we have a cube on top of a plane, and then we also have a light that's completely as accurately described. It is on top of the cube as we wanted. So when we switch it to the render mode, the light's brightness is as perfect as we wanted it to be. So if you want any changes over here, like as you can see, the cube, the mesh is not, the mesh in the plane is not extending to the second cube. So what we're going to do right now is, we have the size here too. We're just going to press backspace, and then we're going to press like 5 or 6 to be safe. Yeah, now that we have this one, now that we have both the cubes on top of the plane as we wanted it, the only reason we use Python for this one is because see, if I myself don't know like how to program stuff, so I get confused very much whenever I see even a code with like 30 lines like these. I get pretty much intimidated, and then I just black out. So here I can see whatever the attributes are regarding whatever objects that we have generated in the scene, and then I can easily identify like which one to change in order to like change according to my wish. So yeah, that's the reason. So we have this entire scene that has been generated without me touching the mouse in the scene initially, just using my voice and then GPT voice version. So yeah, this is the speciality of this. For example, if I want to change the light location over here, and if I press 3 and if I press 2 over here, it's gonna bring the light a bit more closer, as you can see here. So yeah, this is the part where we tend to test like what the scene is all about, and then we can actually see what's happening over here. And in order to make more any changes, if you want, you just have to just like make changes on this code. For example, if I want this to be like a bit more closer, I'll just press 1 over here. This is for cube 2 location over here, and then it'll be like, it'll join. It's literally joining into the other cube. You can actually see over here. So entire scene is actually built using only my voice and GPT voice. That's it. And then the Python script that it has generated. So yeah, now that we have the scene right here, we're going to be switching into a bit more complex scenes in the next segment of this video. So yeah, let's get ahead with that. Okay, so previously now we just generated a basic scene using a cube, and then there's another cube beside that cube, and then both the cubes are on top of a plane, and then there's a light on top of them. So now we're gonna push the AI a bit more further. I'm just gonna ask it to generate multiple cubes in random locations, and then there are random lights that are pointing towards them. So yeah, let's just get started ahead with that. Hey GPT, so can you generate me a Python script in Blender to generate me a scene where there are random cubes scattered across the space, and then there are random lights that are pointing towards the cubes that are scattered across the space as well. And make sure you crank up the brightness of the lights to 100, and change the orientation to area lights.
Absolutely. Let's create that Blender Python script. Here's a script that generates a scene with random cubes and area lights pointing at them in Blender. Okay, let's adjust them. First, we'll clear out all the meshes and lights. Be prepared for a lot of messing. Let's start with removing all bodies again. Bring up cubes in the Mesh tab. Click OK. Then press Ctrl-Shift in X and close. Clear out as many as you can. Now we're going to add lights. Click Light Add. Make sure the preview pane is on. Then we can get to work. Be prepared for a lot of scattered lights, but be careful not to overload his path. Clear the constraints in a scene. Commas, then a space. In caps lock, place the lights near each cube and point them toward the cubes. Feel free to adjust the range values for more cubes, lights, or different spacing.
So yeah, now that I have asked GPT to generate it, I'm going to reload the page again so that we can see what happened. Yeah, so we have this entire scene that has been generated from the prompt that we have given to GPT. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to copy the code, and then I'm going to switch back to Blender again. So now that we have Blender, what we're going to do is this was the previous time I tried. It didn't work out really well, so I'm just going to backspace this, and I'm going to paste the new script. I'm going to press enter. So yeah, voila, we have random cubes generated in random locations, and then there are lights that are randomly placed. So what we're going to do right now is if we press run script again, what happens is that it might generate a random scene again. So yeah, see, the cubes are literally changing every time I press run script. So if I press run script again, the orientation changes of the cubes again, even the lights as well. So if I press run script, the orientation changes again. This actually looks like some sort of futuristic scene, if you ask me. And then if I switch to render mode, and then if I go to world, and if I crank down the brightness to 0, you have a scene that's completely generated out of a retro gaming, gaming vibe sort of scene. So if I press run script again, it's going to generate me completely randomly generated cube locations and light locations as well. So this, as if I keep pressing random locations, it keeps on generating me the stuff until I am satisfied with the location of the cubes and the lights. So this is the fascination of the models that I'm using and the prompt that I'm inputting as well whenever I'm trying to work with a scene, and it's completely generated on its own. So if I had to manually input each and every cube and each and every light, just for reference, we can actually see the number of lights that are there in the scene right now. If you go to lights, there are approximately there are approximately 9 area lights every time we try to generate the location of the lights. So if you press again, it's going to generate 9 again. So it's going to completely change the location of the lights. And then you have area over here for the lights. If I want the area to be switched to a spotlight, I'm just gonna write spot, S-P-O-T, spot. If I do that, it's going to completely change it, because if I press render, it's going to do the same thing, but then it's going to change it into a spot. So for safe purposes, I don't know if I messed up the code or something, but yeah, we're gonna stick to the area light for now. And then if you want to add in texture to a specific cube, you can do that manually, because right now I haven't really tried experimenting with textures, because I feel like adding textures to GPT will sort of disrupt the entire orientation of the scene as well, and including the code. So I'm just gonna manually add textures. For example, I'm gonna make this cube red, and then I'm gonna make this cube blue, and then I'm gonna make this cube yellow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch this to render mode, and then you can see, and if I remove all the lines and stuff and selections, we have the cubes actually that are colored, and this entire scene is generated by ChatGPT. Nothing has been manually, there wasn't any interruption from my side in the scene, except me adding the textures and just randomly generating the stuff. So yeah, entire scene has been generated by ChatGPT itself. So I'm gonna switch back to area again. It should be in caps, my bad. Yeah, so now we're good again. If I keep on generating this, you're gonna get random locations of random cubes at random spaces. And yeah, that actually just shows how capable GPT actually can get whenever you're trying to make a random scene. Yeah, that's about it for now. So now that we have generated a bit more complex scene and simple scene included, we have to actually take a moment to dive in and let us know how it actually works. So Blender's Python API, what it does is it provides various classes and functions, as far as I know, because I asked one of my friends to explain how it actually happens. So they told whatever object class that you actually input and the functions that you assign it to the class, it does is it controls the 3D objects in the 3D space, including the lights and textures apparently as well. So that's what happens whenever you try to input a code in Python, and then you you tend to like describe what it should actually do to the object in the scene, and object it should generate as well in the scene. So when you tell something like that to GPT, what it does is it should actually GPT actually has a very deep understanding of language, and then it codes patterns. It codes patterns, and they've been trained on tons of data as well. But since GPT, it has been trained on data that's public, mostly public. So what it does is there's a lot of restrictions whenever you're trying to generate a code for situations like these. There might not be times when codes function perfectly, like, or the way that you want them to perform them as. So what you got to do in situations like these is you got to edit your prompt in such a way that you have to try another methodology or try another way in order to tell GPT to generate it. For example, if I tell GPT to generate this same scenario where I say like generate me a situation where there are cubes inside of cube, multiple cubes that are scattered across random spaces, but then it's there in a single cube itself. So that way it might be able to interpret it in such a way that, okay, this guy is trying to tell something, and I think I know what I'm trying to get like what concept it is. So yeah, just simple tweaking actually does the job most of the time, and whenever you're using LLMs like GPT. So that's how you can actually generate scripts according to your will and according to your wish. So yeah, communicating is also actually a very important part of processes like these, because if you use your words right, and if you know what you want, and if you describe what you can actually do, the models like GPT can actually generate pretty neat results if you can actually execute it pretty well. So yeah, that's all about it. And then there were some technical issues as well when I was initially experimenting with this, and then but yeah, overall it turned out to be a really beautiful experiment. I hope you guys enjoyed this little experiment and if you're a 3D artist or someone who's just curious about how AI really works, or how AI can work with Blender specifically, try generating some scripts and see what you can do with it, and please let me know in the comments. And yeah, this is my first video. I've tried my best to make it as concise as possible. So yeah, thanks for watching till the end. If you like it, please share to your friends and let them know the capabilities of the AI in the modern age and how fast it's growing. And then yeah, make sure to comment your thoughts as well, and what did you actually try if using the AI, and then what you came up with actually. So yeah, and don't forget to subscribe as well. So yeah, that's about it. Have a great day, everyone.